gosh. Okay. I see my green dot. Thanks, Holly, for letting me know. Apparently, it's technical difficulties galore tonight. Um, yeah, y'all might be able to hear the fan, but I could do something about that, but I am making the executive decision not to. Okay, so apparently technical difficulties is the vibe lately. I was talking about how 8.6 was like a whole 2 hour video, like standard length video, but apparently it was live and only 18 seconds uploaded, and it's the 18 seconds before I flipped on the virtual camera. So it's just black. You can't see nothing. You didn't even hear me go, I'm back. Wow. I'm back. Get it? Just ruined all the moments. I'm using the Lafruma Raw runes. I flipped over my solar eclipse room and I'm going to pull. I also have the SKT Vitruvian and Revelations editions. Revelations edition is on the left, Vitruvian edition is on the right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that number. So I guess the number before that number and the number after. And then I'm going to leave those on the table. And then I'm going to put the significator in the other deck and I'm going to shuffle it up and I'm going to pull before and after. So by the time it's all said and done, we'll get a pair of eclipse glasses. We'll get a cross and then the three Lafrumas and then another cross. And it'll be like eclipse glasses, right? Goodness. Okay, yeah, thank you. I don't technical I was having like technical difficulties all night. I'm like, maybe I'm not supposed to go live. So I asked Google to flip a coin. Google wasn't responding. So then I asked Bixby, and Bixby said tails, and tails was the fight through it, go live. So here we are. Also, I did this, I'm pretty sure for the bird. This whole like, oh, wait. I got to put the collar up. Am I going to like, there we go. So you can tell that this is like the inside. Yeah, there we go. So let's get right to it. I've already pre-shuffled all the decks. I don't even know what else I was talking about. A bunch of nonsense. The video. So I see Brahm Butcher's Broom, which is, what the butchers would use to clean up the chopping floor. But then on the other side is Heartache Nutrients Heartaker, which I'm pretty sure is Leche now. I think this is Leche. Or maybe, no, it's still Heartaker. Leche, I think goes up, maybe. They're different. But it's like the bleeding heart. So you got the butcher's broom for the bleeding heart. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you get another place in time, Holly. Something is going on. One of my friends is an EMT first responder person. And like today and yesterday were some of the like craziest days he's told me about. I'm like, oh, and it was like thing after thing after thing after thing. It's like, we got this call to go all the way out here for a patient transfer, and then like this one canceled, but then we got this other call and something's going on with the paperwork, and then there was someone being transferred from a nursing home and they were like on death's door or whatever. And I'm like, and then he had another crazy day today. And I'm like, maybe it's like this pre-eclipse, just like, what is happening? I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you find a place that works for you in every way. Meanwhile, yeah, I don't know. They purged. with Butcher's Broom, we've seen Day purged recently. I don't remember the context. I was shuffling the SKT, one of them, I don't remember. And I saw the Hermit, which is the Erudite, and some other card. And like the South Node is in Leo now, which means the South Node was just in Virgo. North Node is in Aquarius. Also, so we're having this solar eclipse on the Leo Aquarius axis, but the lunar eclipse is going to be a full moon Pisces lunar eclipse. There was just something about like something that Virgo healed or helped to heal while the South Node was in Virgo that is going to be beneficial. And if I had to take a guess, it would be it could be something related to routines, but like some part of a routine that serves us. Like there's this one guy on Instagram, and he was talking about how he's kind of bummed that summer's coming to an end because he's been starting his mornings by getting sun. And he was like, it's become such a huge part of my day, like, and it has like that sort of wellness aspect to it. I don't know. Maybe it's ways like different, like there's some kind of like grounding something, different ways to ground, which I guess could be beneficial. Because I don't know if times are going to be as chaotic, or what's the word for like just like loose and up in the air, and if a strong or a medium or even a small gust, from a strong breeze to a small gust, and it's just like paper on the wind. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's nothing. I was like, oh, interesting. Feels like there's a parting gift from Virgo that's gonna help. Oh, look, bottom of the deck is the lunar eclipse rune. Rasa. I explore, engage with this like faded pink that you could barely see. I don't know why I looked at the bottom. I already flipped my significator. I almost flipped that one on accident, and then I was like, wait, no, that's not my room. That's the lunar eclipse room. I guess I was just talking about the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So I explore and engage. So before cunning, I learned to know is waterfall. Waterfall soluble, which plays on the darker blues of that rune. It's number 42, 4272. It's a difference of 30, which would be the Hanged Man. I did see Hang True when I was shuffling, but we always see Hang True these days. The other card is, interestingly, one that I don't have in my printed look from it. It vanished. My gathering card just up and disappeared. I'm one card short, but I do have it here. Gator, Gathering and Doc. I feel like Doc is really standing out to me today. Well, I guess so. In that energy of like maybe things are kind of like up in the air and super susceptible to, like, more susceptible to change, which is kind of interesting in a way, because at the end of July, I guess I'm doing what I do. I'm thinking out loud. Excuse me. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not surprised. This is, we go from thoughts to whatever. I'm thinking of CERN, right? And how they shut down the Large Particle Accelerator question mark for like 4 years. And it was that like there was a whole thing of like without the membrane potentially being disturbed, there are certain things that may be like more difficult, right? Like timeline jumping or whatever. For instance, maybe for example, what do I know? And I guess it's not surprising, but it's like, oh man, have we been living in a movie? Just like all of the, I mean, I guess there's always like wildfires and floods and storms and this and that, but man, um, but it's just like the amount of change, I guess, is really interesting for how not necessarily static I would have thought things would be. Because again, what do I know? Um, it's just interesting. But the thing with the dock on this side, especially in the energy of like all this change, and it's interesting because we've been seeing so many lighthouses. There was the lighthouse that was the environment for maybe the dragon. I think it was like the lighthouse in the wishing well. But then we read the tale of the moon cat. I feel like outside of us, like a specific animal, maybe. And the tale of the moon cat, it was like the moon cat had gone up to the lighthouse and like the light was burnt out, and there was someone out at sea who was like needing to come into shore but was panicking, and he saw like the, you know how cat's eyes do whatever cat's eyes do. He saw those and they guided him to shore. So the energy of like the lighthouse just in general with this card of the dock here, it's very interesting. Okay, let's just get into it. Gaderung is number 64. 42 is Watergafall. So the 42nd card, 41st, 42nd, 43rd, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 43. Okay. And then 64. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. At the bottom of the decks, as we have them now, we have the Empress, Gloria Mundi, Arania's Gate. See the gate? Arania's Gate, and then this dock. Very similar energies. A dock is like a transitional gate, and a gate is like a steady gate. I mean, I guess you could have some like, I just watched this one anime, and there's like a water fortress, and so there's a gate that like actually kind of sort of like you have to go through the gate to get to the dock because it's in the water. But in general, gates are like a land, and a dock is like a land water or an air land, and like a sky ship, sky dock, spaceship. type way. I see the moon. Bottom of the deck over here is the hollow void. Moon in Cancer, Four of Chalices. Is Mars moving in Cancer? I think Venus just entered Libra if she hasn't already. What is this? It's fine. Hello? Did apparently Astro Matrix get an update at some point? Waning Crescent, 12 degrees, 35 minutes, Leo. We got to be close then, because I guess we're about a week or so out. That's about 10 days, right? I don't know. Oh, the sun is 19 degrees Leo. So, yeah. Yeah. What am I looking for? I need the chart for now. Y'all done changed some things. Here's the chart. Do I get a printout? Do you? Whoa. I just got to pop up. Current planets. There we go. Um. Oh. The sun, the moon, Mercury, and Jupiter are all in Leo. Like the social media astrologers, I guess. We're talking about a planet parade. There's an eclipse, a planet parade, and a meteor shower. And I'm like, are the YouTube girlies talking about a planet parade? I don't know. I'm sure somebody is. Mars is in Cancer, 0 degrees, 33 minutes. Venus is in Libra. Okay. Oh my goodness. Did y'all see the sweat? I'm starting to sweat. I might have to. Part of me is like, I'm just going to sweat through it. A part of me is like, I might have to take this off. Okay. One, two, three. All right. The left side, we have the sun, the warrior. It's not the moon over here because I saw the moon under that hollow void. It's the corruptor, Venus and Scorpio, the Seven of Cups. Now, to be fair, it's the corruptor with the axe of Shiva that removes corruption. The chariot, Cancer, Mars in Cancer, or the moon in Cancer. See, this was moon in Cancer. I put the sun, I didn't flip it, I forgot to do that. I put the sun on top of the chariot. We are in a solar eclipse, so the moon and the sun are conjuncting. But Mars and Gemini behind, sun in Cancer. But it's in Leo. I mean, I guess this could be a people thing, right? Oh, the Four of Swords, Jupiter and Libra just flipped over. Um, with Death at the bottom of the deck. I don't know how I feel about that combination. Because it's almost like with the way that I read this like something is trying to find us in all of this chaos. And so we have to be the lighthouse, or we have to find a way to let something, someone, whatever, know how to safely make it to the dock in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of navigating shallower waters and all of this. However, I feel like a more standard approach to viewing that would probably be like us looking for somewhere safe to dock in the midst of chaos. Which I'm like, you know. But I guess it's interesting because, like, when I was about to go live, it was just like excuse me, there are different audiences for different readings, and there are different audiences for different readers, right? It depends on like the collective that you're tapping into and the timelines that you read or how you read or whatever. Not every reading is for the same person or the same type of person. Or not every reading is for a person in the same space time, right? The same space, like environment, situation, circumstance in life, or the same like time of their life. You know what I mean? Now, as I look back at this corruptor, with the corruptor in the sun, it's like corrupting the sun. What? Now, the sun was in the Vitruvian edition, the corruptor is in the full color edition. So there is a certain low hanging fruit of like some new agey, whatever, corrupting, misrepresenting, or not entirely leading to. I was going to look Mithras, the sun, and the tarot apocalypses is like the sun beyond the sun. And I forget, I'm starting to remember. There was a reason why it was like something like the gate beyond the furthest gate, or the whatever beyond the whatever. And then as that thought crossed my mind, I was like, Mithras has the narrative context of existing beyond sort of what we see or what we would think. And it's interesting because now that I look back, there is like a solar eclipse in process, either an annular solar eclipse or a solar eclipse in process happening in that sky. And I love that the frog is there because in 2024, on the total or during the total solar eclipse, I went. Um, One of my friends lives in her parents live in the path of totality, and she invited me to go and see it. And like during the window of totality, like the frogs woke up, right? The frogs got active. Maybe it was the frog that had the moon cat. I don't think so. I mean, I guess it could have been the bird. Oh, a card just flipped off of the tower. The tower just flipped over in the Vitruvian edition with the axe of Shiva that removes corruption, the bloodied axe of Shiva that removes corruption. When we saw the axe of Shiva in the corruptor, it was its reflection was being mirrored in the mirror. We did see death and the Four of Swords, the convalescent. So the full color edition, the Revelations edition, is almost telling this story of something of truth or of light is being misrepresented, corrupted, twisted, not fully accurately depicted because of, you could say some like new agey type whatever. But the thing about the new agey type whatever is, in a lot of ways, in some ways, although there is like, we got shadow work and inner child healing and all of this other stuff, it seems like it's about like making us feel good. You know what I mean? Like if something unnerves you or if it doesn't feel right, if it's like scary, then like that's not it. Like if it's for you, it shouldn't require, like it shouldn't be challenging, it shouldn't be difficult, like it should be easy, it should flow, it should do this, it should do that. And so like the amount of courage and the amount of strength that it takes to hold the axe of Shiva that removes corruption and to direct it at yourself rather than directing it at anything external to you. Like maybe it's a moment of hesitation and it's a moment of pause. Now, depending on the situation, in my mind, it's a movie. It's a story. And the movies and the stories, it's like the situations are almost always dire. And a moment of hesitation could spell doom and ruin and whatever. Because usually it's at the critical moment. In real life, it's probably not that whatever. In real life, when we reach that point, then whatever else happens. That's when we go beyond the further gate or whatever. That's when we see the sun beyond the sun, when we no longer veil our own eyes. Um, so that deck also gave us the Reaper, Death and Transformation, and the Convalescent, which is like healing. It's the rest and recovery after like the Three of Swords, a major heartbreak, or like after a big surgery. It's that period of recuperation. My thought now is like, does it matter if it's like self-induced or if it's externally, like if it transpires due to external factors and influences? I don't know. The way, like following this line, I would read it like someone working up the courage, whatever, to go through that like self whatever, and then they're healing from that. Which I guess is an interesting, because again, I feel like there's a lot of like purging, like your body is purging, this is purging, that's purging. So it's like the concepts are there, the language is there, but do the practices like support it? And I say that because now there was the this full color newer version that was the corruptor, the OG, the original was the sun. Now we have the tower. And not only does the tower have that axe of Shiva that removes corruption, but the axe is bloodied. You know what I mean? That means it's been used. They don't, the axe doesn't bleed. There's like volcanoes in the back, the tower being struck down. It's this Mars energy. Apparently, I'm cutting to the title card. And then there's that erudite again. which is that Virgo. Okay. Oh, this fell out. Okay, that's why. I'm like, why am I looking at this? This card came out. So there's our corruptor. So now this is going on the side of soluble. We'll just do top and bottom. So this is our left cross. The cross on the left is the cross of the corruptor. And it's so I was like, when we're looking at the dock on one side, on top of this, like things are kind of crazy and chaotic. The dock is like, where the ships come into port. Also, with all of the lighthouse energies we've been seeing, it's not surprising. It fits the metaphorical narrative that has established itself. But on the other side, I'm looking at like waterfall soluble, like if something's water soluble. So I'm like, is there some kind of like something like dissolving in the water, propagating itself through water? And then I think back to the other day where I was eating some of them hot chips and I drank some water and it just spread. It spread all throughout my mouth. Cause that's what the water did. Like if it's water soluble, then it dissolves in the water and it kind of spreads with the water rather than being like washed away by the water. You know what I mean? If it didn't break down in water and water comes through, then the water would push it out. But if it dissolves in the water, anyway, we'll see. We'll do it 3, 2, and 1. I already got to go to the restroom and a cut. Hopefully, I'll sweat out a lot of this liquid that I've been drinking. And then we have the warrior. It's interesting that the warrior is the master of mystic light. There's a card on this deck has sticky cards. It did that last time when I saw the moon. The card that was left on the table, I picked it up in upright. I thought it was in reverse. It's the vagabond. And then what I thought was the bottom of the deck is the Archangel Commander, Angel of Storms and Battles. I'm gonna have to go to the restroom. But this is an interesting energy. It's almost like fighting for spaces that someone doesn't All right, I'm back. So yeah, for some reason, I'm back on the water thing, the water soluble thing, right? So something being water soluble isn't necessarily inherently bad. It's like it's the fact that so many things like absorb water. So if there's something that you're trying to eliminate or remove from something absorbent, or not absorbent, is that the word? Absorbent, if it has the capacity to absorb. Now I'm like, what's the difference between adsorb and absorb, ABSORB versus ADSORB? It was mentioned in a class in the college days. I don't remember. Adsorption and absorption. I could ask Google. I don't think it's that important. The thing is, like, if something soaks up water and you're trying to eliminate something, and the thing you're trying to eliminate is water soluble, and you're using water to wash away the thing, but what you're trying to clean soaks up water, now you're going to have whatever you're trying to remove that dissolves in the water, the same water that the thing soaks in. So instead of eliminating it, it's almost like water helps it absorb into the whatever. It actually gets a lot further than it would have gotten in the absence of water. Anyways, do you ever, it's fine. I was going to say, do you ever think that maybe, like, have you ever been in a position where maybe you're like, I don't know if I'm the right person to deliver this, but then it's someone's like, you're the perfect person to deliver this, because otherwise it would get to like whatever that energy is that you're feeling, where it's so considerate that it becomes like an enabler type energy. Like it doesn't fully communicate the point, so not as much changes. Anyway, this is all the cards. We got all the cards. I'll just read these cards and go about my merry way. Go about my merry way. And this is the master of the mystic light. How much of that? And see, it's. I feel like every time, especially now, every time I talk about something like this, I go back to that time we were using the water-known archetypes, and I think the shadow came out. In the bottom of the deck was like the temple, the wands, some other stuff, and it's like you can find the divine, and you can find truth in all kinds of places, in all kinds of spaces, because even like lies and deceptions and manipulations, a lot of them are based upon truth. So if you can cut through the whatever and get to the truth, you know what I mean? Not to say it's all a lie, but it's almost like knowing the human condition. It's almost very like, it makes me think of some kind of like spy segment or infiltration segment of a movie or a story. It doesn't necessarily have to be a whole spy movie, but it's like there's a person that intentionally said, it's like they're very intentional with their words, and they have enough information on the person that they're talking to. It's like they know what to say to make the other person believe something. And then they have the excuse of like, well, I never said it. If that's like what they took away from what I said, that's like their fault. That's on them. I never said that this person went here with that other person. I just said that that person went there, and when then the other person was there. I just said they were in the same room. I didn't say they went together. If they assume that they went together, that's on them. And it's intentional. Anyway, it's almost like the water hole's been poisoned. Maybe I should just end this here. It's fine. Who is the doc? What is the doc? Are we the doc? Are we looking for a doc? Maybe we're living in a time where there are like some people are docs and some people are looking for a doc, and it's not always malicious. But we don't always have the capacity either. Oh, I was gonna say, this energy, because like there's a gift of Virgo. This energy, it didn't necessarily come out. I don't know if it was when I was reading, like, what is North Node Aquarius going to be like? I don't know if it was one of those, but there was something. It was like something is like so chaotic, or the games are so subtle that I wonder if our response is going to be like tap in. It's almost like it was like, we spent North Node, Pisces, South Node, Virgo getting closer to the divine and developing, learning, honing, adding to our toolbox toolkit, like things that can help us see the truth, like the true light, like with this sun card, right? And how like it's going to serve us well when everything is like chaotic and all over the place and like this and like that. Like it's going to be a huge benefit because it's like everything is almost going beneath the surface, or everything is getting a lot closer to the ground or whatever. And so it may not necessarily be as easy to differentiate as it was in the past, just because it's almost like in the past it was more, I almost want to say striated. Like there was the stuff up here and then there was the stuff down here, and it was almost like a clear difference, but it's like they're kind of like merging and getting closer and closer, or things are so chaotic that we're kind of like losing sight of the ground or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, what's at the bottom of the deck over here? We have the Golden Shield, power and authority of fire. Now we have the Golden Shield, power and authority of fire. Master of the Mystic Light does have this like fire on it. This isn't concerning necessarily, but it doesn't present any clarity either, because I'm pretty sure it was in the animal. Doesn't matter because the energy exists outside of that animal. But I feel like there has been a kind of present zeal without knowledge is like fire without light. And I feel like in a lot of ways we've become real zealous, or in a lot of ways it's easy to become zealous because I don't know if it's like the information isn't there, or I don't know if it's because a lot of times we're kind of like offered solutions rather than arriving to our own, or if it's because like just like the way things work now with this more like instant gratification, dopamine overload, scroll culture. Because it feels incorrect to say that the knowledge isn't there all the time, but I don't know, maybe it's not even necessarily maliciously intended. Maybe it's just a consequence of where we are, especially as we navigate, as we like more and more collectively navigate things that we kind of just accepted or didn't have the space or time to like look deeper into pre 2020 lockdowns, right? Like there's a lot of work cultures that were different because the attitude of the like workers were different. Also, it's like loyalty doesn't mean when it used to mean when so many people are treated as like expendable, you know? Anyway, now the master of the mystic light obviously has light to the fire, right? There's been a lot of like fire without light. And because the golden shield is the power and authority of fire, but the master of the mystic light is on the table. So I feel like this is almost interesting, especially with these raw runes. So some of the runes, I'm just gonna open this up, choose to butcher's broom again, which is interesting because I had originally left it in reverse in the deck. And last time we saw butcher's broom, it was approximating Pool, but it didn't have the same perspective. It didn't have the same insight. It didn't have the same capabilities or abilities. And so maybe instead of like fighting to get into spaces in which we don't belong, it's kind of like fighting to get into spaces or places that we're not yet ready for. I don't know. So it's kind of like with these runes, you can like do this. Oh goodness. If I can get it. Maybe. I don't know if it'll wait. Maybe if I flip it, it'll be easier. It's Ofurlagu and Anwilla, which is such an interesting combination. Maybe it's easier. Yeah, it's easier that way. How you can see like the rune behind it. So it's almost like there's this eclipse that's happening. But it's like the thing that it's trying to eclipse is brighter. It's like if you have a black sheet and you have a light and you put the black sheet over the light, like 9 times out of 10, it's going to completely block the light. But it's like if the light is bright enough, it could still shine through. I did see that Ten of Wands card in the I think I even saw it with the sun at the cut. Maybe it was something else after the sun. The Ten of Wands card in the Wada non Tarot, where there's like the light that's breaking through the darkness of the thicket of the bramble of the briar of the bush. Um, it's like if it's not a blackout curtain, because blackout curtains are specifically designed to block out all light. If it's a blackout curtain, that's one thing. I don't know. There's almost an energy here that could be like something or someone is like underestimating you. Maybe as a complete aside or as like another way to like another branch to read this. Something or someone is underestimating you because it's like it comes in to eclipse something. But the thing that it's trying to eclipse is brighter than it expects or anticipates. And so it still shines right through. It might catch on fire. It might burn up, you know. I don't know. Anyway, on the left side, we have the corruptor. On the right side, we have the warrior, which, like, there's another layer to this. And maybe it plays into the sun beyond the sun. Because, or maybe it plays into the corruptor. There's this energy of like something or someone, instead of eclipsing, like they know. Maybe it's one of those like, okay, well, we don't have anything blackout strong enough to like completely dim that light, but we have mirrors, so we can use a mirror to reflect that light in any kind of way, so that blah 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 whatever. And the mirror is almost like, again, it's like depending on you or assuming that there's something that you won't do, which is very like if someone is like confrontation avoidant, conflict avoidant, they don't like confrontation, and there's someone who's like not doing right, but they know, they believe that the other person is so like conflict avoidant that they won't like publicly bring something up or publicly correct them or whatever. And so like they know, they believe they'll get away with it because the other person is so conflict avoidant that they're not going to say anything. And so it's like it's just going to fly. But it's like the other person said something, and then it like it throws the whole thing, because maybe, and this goes back to like whatever could have been happening in the past year and a half or so, while the North Node was in Pisces and the South Node was in Virgo. Maybe like somebody in this metaphorical context over the past year and a half learned to like stand up for themselves, and like they don't have to be so like confrontational all the time for whatever reason, but like if the need arises, that they will stand up for themselves. And so they do. And the truth comes to light, and whatever the flimsy whatever falls apart. Because maybe someone always had like a light, but they had to learn to put a little fire into it. You know what I mean? It's almost like being stuck on Mount Everest during the daytime, where like you're high up in the mountains, it's daytime, it's incredibly bright, the snow is reflecting all this light, but in that kind of like climate, you don't feel the warmth of the sun as much as you feel the cold of that environment. So that's like a light without fire type of situation. It provides illumination, but it doesn't necessarily provide warmth. Or maybe like vice versa. Maybe some people learn to put a little fire behind their light, and maybe some people learn to be like a little luminous and not just be like hot and fiery. You know what I mean? To use their fiery talents for good, if you will. You don't have to. Okay, cool. Let's just. I don't even know how I'm gonna read this. We got our eclipse glasses. The heart of the left one is the corruptor. The heart of the right one is the warrior. The warrior, it'll cut off a limb if it needs to. If you know, if the warrior gets poisoned, like a poisoned arm or a poisoned hand, and the poison is like spreading, they'll chop that hand off in a second, because it's better to bandage the hand It's better to sever the hand and bandage the wound, the wrist, than it is to let the poison spread to their whole body and die. You know what I mean? Type energy. The warrior doesn't have that hesitation. And maybe there are times when it's for the warrior to like take a take a beat, take a breath, pause for a second, not necessarily always be so quick. Maybe it's one of those. There's something for everyone to learn. Maybe we've all had something to learn. And I feel like the tricky part might be sort of differentiating or knowing when to do what. Let's start down here. We'll start at the root of both of these. The wheel of life, Jupiter, is under the sun over here. And then on this side, we have the wish granted, Jupiter and Pisces. So under the corruptor, we have Venus trine Jupiter, which is like the best aspect because Venus and Jupiter are the like the benefics and whatever. With the corruptor and the nine of cups. I feel like already it's this almost like it's not always about like what you want. And again, there's some new agey spiritual whatever where it kind of is. I feel like there's a middle ground somewhere. It's fine. The Archangel Commander is under this vagabond. Under the Archangel Commander is the bereaved. Under the bereaved is the joyous one, the Ten of Cups. I feel like the Three of Swords under the Archangel Commander is an acknowledgement that like life is hard. We all go through tragedies, we all go through unfortunate events, misfortune. It spans the gamut for everyone. Not everyone necessarily experiences the same degree, but most people, the upper majority of people, aren't strangers to disappointment and tragedy and unfortunate circumstance and other things. And we don't necessarily have to compare, right? I feel like there's something interesting happening here. Maybe it's because of this wish granted energy. I'm looking at the vagabond. For some reason, this is giving me Keter, Chokma Bina, and then what, Tiferet and Yesod, or even Yesod and Malkut. No, we'll keep Malkut down there. It's like the head of the tree has been like removed. The thing in shadow is all of this. So it's almost as if our shadow were light, but we were convinced to see it as shadow. And because desire is the basis of this corruptor, I'm not surprised. Because it's like it's rooted in the root, it's grounded in the root. It's all about the bottom three chakras, even when it isn't. the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. Because like that's so often we can treat that as the barometer. Like if our wishes are being fulfilled, if financially, emotionally, all of this other stuff, but like a lot of that is like down there. Mm-mm. Let's look at the crowns next. Crowning the corruptor, we have the joint one, Venus in Cancer. Abyssus abyssum in Wokat. Oh girl. I don't I don't like this anymore. I mean I wasn't necessarily ever a fan. I would almost ask like why this eclipse or why like this window. Maybe it's a time where like the truth of some things are being revealed. Right? If we navigated North Node, Pisces, South Node, Virgo in a way, especially if, well, I mean, even if we didn't go under some kind of realignment, almost like it was a year and a half of like playing nice for us to like cozy up and buddy up to whatever. The thing I don't necessarily like about this corruptor side energy so far, again, like it's rooted in desire. You have an energy that's rooted in desire, and then it's crowned with this Two of Cups, and it's the corruptor. It reads like people, energies, entities that take advantage of the disenfranchised or the desperate or the downtrodden. And I feel like that energy has been so rampant. A lot of us, if not all of it, if not most of us, are like fair game. And again, when our barometer is how things are going and the physical, tangible, like this energy came up recently. It was like there are people who can manipulate the 3D. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that their gods are looking out for anybody. A lot of not a lot, some manipulators will be like, oh, like everything will go right, you'll buddy up to them, and as soon as they get what they need out of you or want out of you, it dries up. It's like from the abyss, some energy has risen and like intertwined with like a abyssal like gap or void in someone's like heart or life or whatever. It's a match made in a furnace. Let's see. On the side of the warrior, we have the initiate, spirit in search of experience. I was wondering if we would have another major over here because we had the Wheel of Life with this Sun card. Not to say that they're all going to be majors, but so far they're all majors. And the other suit is all about, it's the other suit. This is all cups. Two of Cups, Seven of Cups, Nine of Cups. And this is the side of waterfall. Waterfall, soluble. Soluble means it dissolves. Well, I mean, if it's water soluble, then it dissolves in water. And again, it's something that can play on our emotions. I was gonna say, as a water sign, I'd be the first person, but my situation is complicated. I mean, it isn't, but it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Was that? No, that was August 5th, which is a week before the eclipse. I don't remember. It could have been the frog. There was an animal that had blue storm energy. August 5th was, I believe, the blue overtone storm, which was also a galactic activation portal day. And then August 25th is maybe a blue crystal storm. I forget. I don't remember. Interesting. Hmm. We got the cosmic egg there. I feel like the last time I used the water known animal spirits, I saw the cosmic egg a few times. This is the initiate. You see the gap here, and then the continuation, ab incunabulus, ab eterno, and the eterno is on the other side of that gap. Also, you see, like, it's not the sun. What's that? Some, like, whatever energy. I want to say Green Man type energy up there. Beyond the further gate, the sun, beyond the sun, it's an initiation into that. Also, there was something about the Sphinx holding this sword, the warrior holding that sword, and the Archangel Commander under the Vagabond at the bottom of the deck. It's not necessarily a time of proving. I mean, I guess you could say it's a time of proving. Any time can be a time of proving. Unlike a test or something like that, maybe. I feel like so this fox is a guardian that will accompany that accompanies the initiate when they go down that initiation, when they undergo that initiation. The fox accompanies them. But I feel like it almost reads like that's a fox that, like, it doesn't wake up because it doesn't have to accompany somebody through this initiation. And with the wheel of life at the bottom of the deck, especially being Jupiter, Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces and Sagittarius, but also Pisces, and we just had North Node Pisces. Like, life and navigating through life has taught this warrior everything they need to know for some kind of initiation in a way that they don't have to be guided through it. Again, it's like the warrior is quick to action and decisive enough if its hand or finger or whatever gets poisoned and the poison is like life threatening and spreading, it will immediately just like lop off a limb. Whereas the corruptor over here, knowing that the corruption is coming from inside the building, hesitates I mean, it's not easy. It's not painless for the warrior. And so maybe it's an energy of resolve. I don't know. But it's like this holding the axe of Shiva that removes corruption, and there's green blood there. She's looking like she's giving ectoplasm, green blood, Ghostbusters ectoplasm, some creature from the abyss bonding to the abyss with, or a void within a person. She's giving, you know, I ain't seen Ghostbusters. It's funny. Um, it's almost like it can like hesitate to the point where there are no. It's like there's not enough biomass to cut off and still survive. It's like the poison is just it's spread because it's water soluble. And we are what percentage water? It's been in the water. Not all of the wells are poisoned. But again, you got the nine of cups at the bottom of it. No tea, no shade. The divine can use anybody and everybody. Again, in most things, there's at least a shred of truth. And that shred, that speck, that atom of truth can be enough to guide or lead somebody where they need to go. But especially after 2020, I feel like a tarot deck is relatively inexpensive. Having a platform more often than not is free. The demand apparently went crazy, and not everyone's motivations were necessarily pure when they got into like making platforms. Some people did it for clout, some people did it for money. And again, like no tea, no shade. I'm sure that there are still people that were helped through that and in that. But it's like if that's someone's primary motivation, and if that's some like the reason why someone makes like all or most of their decisions, then in that internal dialogue between the spirit of a person and the personage of that person, the personage is probably going to come out on top. And if that's the case, when that axe of Shiva that removes corruption pops up, especially if someone is like in a good place in a good space, how often are they going to let that purifying energy do its thing? Or are they going to put the X down and keep doing whatever as long as the checks keep clearing and the numbers keep going up? And again, it's no tea, no shade to anybody because, you know, to live is to need food, shelter, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's not that, like, there are many, many, many different paths. And some paths, like, there are some people that can navigate spiritual business and social media and all kinds of stuff and remain in integrity and authenticity. But integrity for an energy that has the wish granted as its like motivator, like the money, is what it was about. The followers and the views and the subscribers is what it was about. So it actually isn't in integrity, and it is authentic for them to be so worried or concerned, or for them to reject whatever in favor of the money and the followers and the whatever else, because that was the intention, that was the goal, that was the plan. Like that was the whole point, or the upper majority of the point. Why now? I don't know. I feel like that's a me question. I guess the time hasn't happened yet. Let's look at the left. To the left of the corruptor, we have New World Order, Crown of the Magi. We got our first major. Okay. Maybe for some people, there's just like a come to Jesus type of, not a reckoning. I mean, it could be a reckoning, a realignment. Let's call it a realignment. Maybe someone has a moment, or will have a moment, or is going to have a moment, or is in need of a moment where they check back in. And this doesn't even necessarily have to be like this spiritual social media influencer, whatever sphere. And for, like, this could literally be anything. Someone could be doing something because it was what they wanted at some point in time. And they wanted it, circumstances aligned, they got it. Now they're having this moment of like, do I still want this? Or like, is this in alignment? Like, it was in alignment with who I was at the time that I started this, whatever, but is it still in alignment? Are there some things that like I can shift and move around so that it would be more, I almost want to say concurrent with the version of self that they are? I guess concurrent in the way of like, this is who and what they are, and that's like what they used to do. And so like they're still doing the thing that they used to do, that they've kind of fallen out of whatever with, and this is who they are. Like, to make it concurrent is to like put them on the same page. And maybe it comes through the space of opportunity. Like someone gets an opportunity to do something. Maybe not. I'm looking at New World Order and I'm like, okay. Also, though, the angel is shedding light on this, or a New World Order is shedding light. You can see like the light, the source of the light is up here, and it's like being like what the lighthouse is being spotlighted this way. The thing that's being spotlighted is the corruptor. The only animal we see on both of those, I think, is the lion. For, is that pride and Leo? The bird is a peacock. And then we have a goat. That's not a bull, but you know, they both have horns, I guess. You know what? Let's close this one out. To the right of the corruptor is the burdened one, Saturn and Sagittarius. Mm. This is like literally almost a tug of war. And with the two different colored hands, I wonder if it's almost the opposite of like fighting for spaces that, well, I guess it could be like fighting for spaces that someone no longer belongs in. Maybe it's partially devil energies come to collect its due. Maybe it's partially fighting the shifts that we know are beneficial or good or whatever for us. Maybe it's being burdened with the consequences of our choices and actions. This is interesting because it makes me think of maybe the last chalk. I think it might have been the one before the last. It's the one when it was like Uranus and Gemini trining Pluto and Aquarius. And it was almost like someone may be given like an opportunity to like leave, or someone may be fired or whatever. Like right before things like completely go to crap or whatever. And it could have been one of those like if someone had remained, they'd be prime scapegoat number one. You know what I mean? But it's like someone gets an opportunity to step away from a tower before the tower comes down. And I feel like in that case, it's almost like the divine is like really trying to get someone to see something, or trying to like really trying to get someone to like move, because it's not going to be pretty when the tower comes down. And maybe like also trying to assure them that like everything is going to be okay or whatever. Now, excuse me, to the left of the sun, we have the Emperor, which is Aries. The tower is Mars. Saturn and Neptune are in Aries right now. What I'm not surprised about is we have the initiate in the crown. So this emperor, it's almost like taking on a true Aries type energy, where it's like it's the first. She's like low key giving some Yaza vibes. It was like first of his whatever, first of his kind, first of his lineage, first of his whatever, whatever, whatever. Now, what's interesting is this emperor has like the framework for that cube, but it's not filled in. But on New World Order, it's been filled in. So I don't know if that incorporates a certain element of agency, of like you more so deciding what the next thing is, almost because it's like not an emergency provision type thing. Right? Like if there were more time, or if the situation and circumstances were different, like we would have asked what your preferences are. But giving the circumstance, this is the best that we could do with the resources that we had, with you in mind. Like if you would mind, like let's go. Also, I don't know anything about like the Chinese elements. It's what: earth, metal, water, fire, and thunder? Or is it air or like lightning? But it's like this. This is like the document. The document that is like the sigil or whatever. I'm pretty sure of like there's this, but then there's also like the interplay between different elements. I think if I search five Chinese element diagram, 5 Chinese elements diagram. Wood, water, metal, earth, and fire. It's like that. I don't know how to read it. Generating interaction, overcoming interaction. Water generates wood, wood generates fire, fire generates earth, earth generates metal, metal generates water. Metal overcomes wood, wood overcomes earth, earth overcomes water, water overcomes fire, and fire overcomes metal, which overcomes wood and sets the in motion. On the right, we have, they're all majors. Literally Scorpio, the Reaper. Passage to initiation, the Reaper. Literally the initiate. Also, we saw that scorpion in the Hollow Void. It was up in the tree. The warrior has come out with 4 majors: the Will of Life, the Emperor, the Initiate, and the Reaper. We have both Aries and Scorpio here. The Tower has already come out. So we got masculine Mars, fiery Mars, we got feminine Mars, watery Mars, and we got Mars. All 3 faces of Mars from the Vitruvian deck with that Master of the Mystic Light. And again, with these cards being over here and those cards being over there, it's not surprising. Oh, it may be empowerment. There's a card in the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators. I'm pretty sure it's empowerment. It's like a lady riding a unicorn, maybe holding up a sword, and like there's lightning striking the sword or something like that. It's like with this corruptor, I don't want to say it's being defanged, but it's almost the equivalent of like being defanged and declawed and being rendered, being like domesticated in a way. And for something that is so much of like liberation and feeling good, it's like there's a lot of disempowerment and domestication. And again, not all the time. I don't know. Like with the Emperor, the Warrior, all these cards over here, whatever this, whatever the burden of the burdened one is, it feels like we should be able to bear it like no problem, right? Here is the Will of Life sort of like liberated. There is the Will of Life barricaded, barred, all kinds of whatever. And the sword at the top of that Will of Life is the sword, the same sword that the warrior holds, that the Archangel Commander taught someone how to wield. Um, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have done this because I'm like, what was the point? It feels like this one is like extra frayed. Not this one. There's like one of them that's like, I might. Part of me is like, when I get my hair done, I might have to have them like really fix it. Another part of me is like, it has so much character. If there is one of my locks that is barely hanging on, like, but it hasn't broken. Long hair problem. Sometimes I snag it, especially like if I'm laying down, or like if I'm sitting up against something and I move and I snag my hair. For real. I'm surprised I ain't ripped one out my scalp yet. Um, this is kind of unfortunate. And even the Reaper, it's getting like it's moving in the direction of that source of light. It's getting closer to the source. Yeah. Like with the energy on the table, reading the way it read, or reading the way that it reads, it's almost very like, so yeah, with the Emperor, the Warrior, the Reaper, the Wheel of Life, and the Initiate, this is someone being the dock, being the lighthouse. Like, yeah. Which, you know, that's fine. But on the other end, it's almost like, in a certain way, it's on the other side, it's like someone who is so tethered to, bound by, ruled by desire that I don't know if they would be able to shake it. So it's almost like, if, like how there are people who maybe come from nothing, or who are just like hyper vigilant about, like financially hyper vigilant, and it's like someone who is well off, that has not had to struggle for a while, and who will not struggle for the foreseeable future. Like there's always something that can happen, but it's like someone in their mind, they're like constantly on the brink of financial collapse, to the point where, like, not only do they not enjoy the fruits of their labors, but it's like it's stressing them out, it's like negatively impacting them, and they're completely fine. It's almost like the energy of maybe like a hypochondriac, to the point like they're perfectly healthy, but they like whip themselves up into a frenzy of like, of illness or whatever, to the point where it's like, even if reality is different, it kind of doesn't matter. Something's going on in the water. And for water to be like that emotional, spiritual, ruled by the moon, pulled by the moon element, it's like low key kind of concerning. And this makes me think of, I know, I think it was, I feel like I used the wild unknown alchemy, because for some reason, like summer is in my mind's eye. And we saw the Knight of Cups maybe in the Astral Matrix Tarot. And there was this energy that it was like going from sacred pool to sacred pool, like doing something in different people's like internal waters. Like first it looked like it was like searching for something, then it was like it's like doing something. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know how it dictates or determines. Just determines and decides. I don't know how it determines or decides. Whatever. Because with these dots, it's like things are coming out of the water. But with this water soluble energy, it's like in the water. And I'm looking at it, it's like almost like there's an energy of someone was told, convinced, believed like they were swimming upstream, like going up the waterfall, but like this whole time they've been going like flowing in the direction of the water, like not fighting against, not counteracting whatever they may have thought they were. And it's because the Nine of Cups is the anchor in this deck, or it's the anchor on this side. Oh, for Lagu and Anwilla. Interesting combination. What's a great like advice deck that I have? I haven't used this deck in a while. We'll do both of them. We'll do this one and this one. Maybe. The Affirmators Tarot and the Affirmators. Now that I pull these decks, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go for the Affirmators just because the energy and the vibe around affirmations has been kind of iffy. But, also at the same time, um, sometimes we meet people where they are. We always meet people where they are. Either we meet them where they are or they meet us where they are. Right? Let's get one of these. For the side of the corruptor, for the water to fall, something beneficial. I want something positive, of course, but I'm not going to constrict it to something positive because that would like defeat the purpose of all of this. Right? Sometimes it's like if we have a drinking problem or any kind of problem, sometimes like, an intervention is necessary and we need to know. And an intervention, the goal is to have a positive outcome, but it's not necessarily a positive thing, right? When everyone's like, hey, when you drink, you get like this, or it makes us feel like this, that's not positive. That's not a happy interaction. Someone, it's fine. Something beneficial for the water to fall corruptor. Also, I think we're like 10 days out. I might have to rewatch that video. I've been doing my best to hold up my end of the bargain. We'll see. Okay, maybe. Go 5. Oh, okay. It flipped over immediately. We have divine timing. Everything is timing, and timing is everything. Gladly, I release my concern over timing and let things happen when and as they will. I trust that the divine schedule makers know what they're doing. It can take a long time to reach divine middle management. So yeah, that almost feels like it plays on like when that New World Order came out, it was like there's an opportunity or something that the divine is trying to get someone to see like a hey. And I feel like the tricky part is because there was that energy of like the prefabricated cube versus the one that was the framework with the emperor. It's almost like the best that's available, and sometimes the best that's available is nothing. Not telling anybody. Ain't none of this tell nobody to do nothing. But like the fool, sometimes it's better to take the leap and take the risk than it is, again, for whatever that toxin is to like spread and do whatever. Bottom of the deck, sure. Love, aw. Love is a many splendored thing. Today I will notice and appreciate at least three of those splendors, like the fact that puppies make me feel like a parent, or the surge of self congratulation I feel when I sink a 3 point trash basket shot on the first try. Or how about the chills I get while singing along to fill in the blank? What does it say? Name of song. You know the one. I'm wearing like my blue light readers, and they don't have the same magnification as my bifocal. That's this. What about the Affirmators Tarot? The Affirmators Tarot. Now, yeah, I'm going to flip the Seven of Cups. We're going to use it as the significator. No, no. Yes, no. No. We'll just let a card fall. Knight of Cups at the cut with the King of Wands. Did I say Knight of Cups? Knight of Pentacles at the cut with the King of Wands, which are two very different energies. Not necessarily. The King of, like, where the King of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles intersect is like a passion project. Something that may take a lot of time, energy, and effort, but it's work that like someone finds fulfilling. Work that's worth doing. It's almost borderline when you do a job that you love, you never work a day in your life. Okay. Clean flipper, clean fall. Let's go one more shuffle. The High Priestess and the Empress. Was the Empress at the bottom of the gate? Bottom of the gate. Was the Empress at the bottom of the deck on the Vitruvian edition? Gloria Mundi Arania's gate. And now the Empress is here with the High Priestess. I did 10 shuffles and nothing flipped or fell. And the card was about divine timing. I'm actually not going to get a card. The reason why I'm not is because it almost feels like to get a card, to find a card that would help or offer the kind of advice that I would want, would almost be to defeat the purpose. Uh, in my mind, it was like of the assignment. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what is it? And maybe like it would defeat the purpose of the assignment. It's like in that wording already, like it's not a test. It's not a final. It's not a, it's an assignment. It's not the end of the world. It does affect your grade, but it's not necessarily, whatever. And it feels like to give what I would want to give would almost play into that Nine of Cups, Two of Cups energy. It would, again, it's like it would be enabling almost. And there's something about, I feel like that plays back on the zeal without knowledge and how it's really easy for us to become really zealous. Because maybe you could say there's a lot of information out there, but not necessarily as much knowledge. Or like it's easier to gain knowledge than it is to gain. No, it's easier to gain information than it is to gain knowledge. Oh, Goat Man at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, we putting you back. Him with the abysses. He's literally at the bottom of the. You can't see him. I didn't flip a card or nothing. Um, put him at the bottom of the deck, and then we had that Two of Cups up there. The Abyssus, Abyssum, and Volcom. But it was like something from the abyss is bonded to the abyss within a person, or it's bonded to the collective abyss. Okay. So we're gonna get final cards now. This isn't. I don't know. You ever feel out of touch? I feel out of touch. Maybe that's another reason why. I don't know. Because I'm hearing some people like, oh yeah, that last full moon was woof, and I'm just like, in Patrick Land. Like when that Nine of Swords came out in the self read, when I was like, this is like all of the stuff that I got on my mind. And I got so much on my mind. It's like I don't have the. It's not that I don't have the capacity for other things, but it's like those things are secondary, I guess. And what a luxury it is to have a to feel like certain things are secondary, especially in times of like turmoil and chaos and all kinds of other stuff. But also, the work works if you work it. I feel like the sweat is like really breaking now. So, okay. I'm back. Should have stayed in the cave. You know? That's funny. Wheel of Life. What went back on top of the Wheel of Life? The Reaper went back on top of the Wheel of Life. The Journeyman with that golden shield. Now, bottom of the deck is the Contender, Saturn in Leo, Five of Scepters. The card that flipped over is the joined one, two of chalices, abyssus, abyssum, and loci. The depths of you call to the depths of me, or the abyss within you calls to the abyss within me. Um, it's like that energy works both ways or multiple ways. And here, even though like in the contender it's a fight or whatever, like there's a clear winner. One of these is already lit, so it doesn't have to fight for any kind of whatever. It's already lit. And that's because within the depths of someone is a light. And so what is attracted to them is something of light. And it's like it's light in its multitude of whatever. Right. It's not just whatever. Two of Swords, Eight of Swords, Blind Seer, and the Captor. The Seeker and the Captor. The title card and the Seeker. Yeah. When it's like beyond the further gate or whatever, the Seeker hit the title card. So, and again, it feels like it's because there's so much. It's like even if someone isn't, it's almost like even if we operate from like our heart or like the third eye or the crown or whatever, if our motivation is root, solar, sacral, that's going to affect everything. Right? So, like, let's say, for example, we want to make a lot of money. And, we would love to do something of like impact or something important or whatever. But our true goal is to make a lot of money. Like, we could come across, it's like so many of the world's maladies, you could say, or so many things that could use revision or whatever. It's like it could come across our desk and we're like, I love that impact wise, but that's not going to make me the kind of money that I want to make. Like, oh, that's a really good whatever, but there's not enough people that this problem affects to make me the money that I want to make. You know what I mean? It's like at the end of the day, like that is what the decision is kind of sort of made through. And so I don't know, maybe one of the benefits of whatever is like we'll get to see. And again, maybe it was easier in North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo. If it was, what does that mean for where we are now and where we're going? But yeah, you know, the healer and the Herald of the Winds. So Ventures of the Dauntless, Herald of the Winds fell out. It flipped over and then fell out. The healer flipped over. Behind the healer is the champion, which is our Leo Aquarius, right? Jupiter in Leo, which is where it currently is the champion, whereas the healer is Aquarius. And the healer is gifts of the spirit. This makes me think of the envious people. Where did we see him? Was it one of the animals? It was like it was in that whole like it came out in the metaphor of like some kind of speed limiter in like a car, right? Everyone's running limiter on the engine or whatever, where the car can only go up to 30 miles per hour. and the speed limit has changed to 60. So those in the know are going to get the limiter removed or updated and replaced. Those not in the know will, because they've already got everything figured out, whatever, they'll keep driving and they're like, okay, my limiter is like premium. Okay. I know they're all set to 30, but I do 30 better than everybody else. How am I being passed up by so many people? Where are all these people coming from? Do they not know that the limit is 30 miles per hour? And then maybe they do some complaining, they do whatever, and then they find out like, oh, actually, like the speed limit's been updated. It's like 60 miles per hour now. And they're like, well, nobody told me, blah, 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 whatever. And it's like that, like, because they were it whenever, or whatever reason they're entitled to whatever they feel entitled to when they see someone else succeeding or whatever. Like in that same metaphorical context, let's say that someone wants to make a lot of money, but they also want to do something of impact. There's something that they thought, like it came across their desk first, and they didn't take it because it wasn't going to make them the kind of money that they wanted to make. And so the person took their idea to somebody else and it blows up. It makes even more money than, not just more than they would have thought, more than they could conceive. And now it's like they feel kind of like jaded because they missed out on an opportunity that was brought to them first, but they made the choice and decision based on their metric that it wouldn't pay out what they wanted. It all works out because that attitude could have, like, eggs, flour, and water, salt, sugar, whatever else. It's like it's gonna turn out different in one person's hands versus someone else's hands. If you put those things in my hands and you're expecting a cake, if I got a box to follow, maybe. But if I were you, I would go to someone who like makes cakes. You know what I mean? I would go to someone who's baked before. And so I can't look at someone else and say, like, hey, that person offered me those ingredients. That cake should be mine. It's like that cake, I wouldn't have made what the master would have made if I'm making cakes. Something else, maybe. But anyway, it kind of brings that energy to mind because, like, Leo is where the south node is, and Jupiter is in Leo right now, but the north node is in like Aquarius. So you've got specifically Jupiter in Libra standing up against all of Aquarius, and Aquarius is gifts of the spirit. So the gifts are being poured out here. You have the champion on this chair. That's like, well, I'm the champion. Like, that should be mine. But it's like the champion is dry. That's the champion's prize. Which it's like if the champion knew, they wouldn't be complaining. If the champion knew what this was, they wouldn't be complaining about the water that's being poured out over here. They would not be. But again, it's because of their predisposition that they don't even know the value of the thing that they've won, or they don't even know the value of like the opportunity that had come across their path, or the person that they had met, or whatever. Because for them, that nine of cups is making all of the choices and decisions, even when it's not, it is. And so maybe as a person, like if you feel like you've been passed up on or whatever, maybe this Herald of the Winds, Ventures of the Dauntless, is like some kind of confirmation for you that it's almost like if you experience such limiting whatever or non-belief in the thing that you know is it, I feel like it's supposed to be some kind of encouragement to keep going. And also to know that it's like if you would have compromised, it wouldn't have been what you thought. Isn't there some like author who wrote a book that's being adapted to a movie, And she was like, you know, when they came to me for the rights to make this movie, they said I would have more creative control, but now that the movie is actually being made, like, the author is no longer involved because the creative control that they thought they would have had, they don't have, and they don't like the direction that the movie is going in. But because they've already signed away their rights, they can't stop the movie from being produced. And it's one of those, like, if we would have compromised or if something would have worked out that wasn't for our highest good, there's no guarantee. In fact, it's probably likely that it wouldn't have been something that we wanted. Right? Bottom of the deck is the convalescent. And again, this is the healing, this is the rest, recuperation, and rejuvenation after someone did what they needed to do. We see the sword down there, the sword that is the key to that will of life and all that was around the warrior. So you could be in a recovery, recuperating period before you step into being a warrior, right? If you feel like maybe the stuff on the right side around the warrior, so that was the emperor, the will of life, the reaper, and the initiate. If you feel like that's not your right now, but also you feel like you've like gone through your own internal purging and you've given it the due diligence that it requires, then maybe it's a time of rest, ease, recuperation, healing, so that you know you can hit the ground running when the time comes. But that recovery is also important, right? Cool. We'll get a final one of these affirmators, and then I'll get a final raw room, and that'll be that. We'll go 7, 6. Ooh, oh, this is a lot. 2, 4, 6 cards. Well, 3 of them are bonus cards. One of these is like the title card. If I just saw 3 cards, I feel like I would read them, so I can't include the bonus cards in the calculation. I'm just reading cards. I got a minute. Spontaneity. Ooh, with these glasses, girl. Where are my other glasses? I kept them nearby just in case I would have to. Spontaneity. Do you like spontaneous adventures of the highest caliber? The only acceptable answer to this question is yes. So buckle up. So buckle up, Charlie. You're about to take a wild ride through the unexplored, unconventional, and underrated. You're about to learn that yes is a magic word with the power to unlock new dimensions in space, time, and after hours hangouts. Yes will lead you to experiences you didn't think possible and teach you that lifelong friendships are sometimes lurking just behind a karaoke singer's mullet. Uh, as a side note, there's a pretty good chance your name is not Charlie, which is kind of hilarious. Isn't Charlie a unicorn? Charlie the unicorn? I was alive and on the internet during that time, but I was not watching Salad Fingers and Charlie the Unicorn or whatever else. I was looking up. I was on Cheat Code CC looking at cheat codes for video games, or on Game Winners looking up guides for whatever JRPG I was struggling through. I was doing other things on the internet. I don't. Yeah, I didn't get on YouTube until like again, like I was on. I feel like it's one of those things where like if you know me, you would probably assume that I was into it, but like I wasn't. Cause like I feel like I was into the internet, but I wasn't on like YouTube back in the day, and like I didn't get on MySpace until like right before it shut down. You know what I mean? I made it to Facebook and the wave before like everybody was on Facebook. So I was late to a lot of stuff and just living my own life. Options. Interesting. As I open to the abundant possibilities of my life's path, I'm reminded that I always have unlimited options. Life is a buffet, and I allow myself to choose whatever makes me happiest without limiting thoughts like, you can't put mac and cheese on your baked potato. Why not? Is it the pasta and the potato? Well, people be like, you shouldn't mix carbs or whatever. Right. But like with the baked potato, you put cheese on a potato. So like, why not? This thing is like really out there. You see that? The new growth is new growth. I remember times my hair wasn't even this long. Something's been something's been happening this year. I feel like my hair has been growing like crazy, and I ain't got it to get it done. I think I might get my hair done soon though. Impermanence. Life is always changing, and I drift easily through those changes, good and bad. As I drift through hard times, I can take comfort in knowing that I will leave them behind. As I drift away from good times, I can take comfort in knowing that more will come my way. Impermanence is an equal opportunity non-entity. And then we have gratitude. Today I am grateful for all the little things. Even when the big things suck, there are always plenty of little things I can be at least a little grateful for, like hot showers and music and the fact that humans invented an internet and I'm allowed to use it whenever I want to, using fingers and thumbs that do whatever I think them to do at any given moment. Well, speaking of Charlie the Unicorn, salad fingers, and what I was doing on the internet or not. Next, how to use these cards. There is no wrong way to use these cards, laws notwithstanding. But here is our suggestion. Turn the cards face down on a table in front of you and shuffle them the way a 3-year-old would. As you mix the cards around, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and silently ask that the cards give you a message that will benefit you in this moment. Then reach in, pull a single card, and feel confident that this is the one card for you, at least until the next time you pull a card. Read your affirmator, and for greatest potency, read it out loud. Say it as much as you like, then say it again. If you draw a bonus card, relish its wisdom and use its gifts as well. And use it. If you draw a bonus card, relish its wisdom and use its gifts at will. You have been bestowed with great and mighty powers reserved for only 10 cards in the deck. What a fortune. And you got 2 bonus cards. I feel like this, like how to use these cards, especially when it comes to options and permanence and gratitude. It's almost like a how to use the cards that you've been dealt in life. And maybe that, like, do the whatever and then pick a card and know that it's the one card for you, at least until you pull another card. Maybe that plays into one of those, like, don't envy or don't covet what someone else has, because you don't know the full story of what it takes to get there and what it costs to keep it. And not only that, but like, but it's a like, instead of dreading the cards that you don't have or wishing that you had been dealt a different deck, it's like learning to use the ones that you do have. You know what I mean? Type energy. Lastly, perseverance. It seems you're on a massive journey right now, and this card has arrived to remind you that you will reach the other side. The mountain you are climbing is huge and formidable, but so is your ability to climb it. You don't need to enjoy it, you just need to tackle it. Complain if it makes the job easier. Blow off steam. You think mountain climbers get to the top of Everest on inspirational quotes? No way. They're grunting and crying and cursing like frickin' pirates. That just doesn't sell a lot of posters. Interesting because, we were also talking about Everest. Being like, you climb Mount Everest, there's so much light, it's reflecting off of the snow, but what you feel is the cold. You don't feel the warmth of the sun that gives this planet life when you're at the top of the mountain. And I wonder if that's like I guess depending on the person, if you're from a colder part of the world, then I'm sure that there are bright sunny days where it's still like very cold. And so you learn to disentangle the sun with warmth. But if you're from a desert, you probably equate it. If it's sunny outside, it's very, very, very hot. So imagine being in a place where it's so sunny and so bright, but like so impossibly cold. Light and warmth, knowledge in appropriate measure. Okay. And the from a raw rooms, let's get a final raw room. Raw room. Okay. That was okay. I think was that day purged? I think it was, because I'm pretty sure Gifu was like blue and purple. Oh, okay, there we go. We got our flip. We got our flip. We got our flip. We got our flip. Flip. We got our flip. We got our flip. We got our flip. So, and there it is. There's Gifu. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's blue. So it's like light blue and a darker blue. It's not blue and purple, but there's the actual rune. We have Gift Generosity Gifu with Ganunga Gap, Seed Void, and 12 Static Needs. XOI? What's XOI? Bottom of the deck is Solstice, Community, Sunstead. Interesting. Gifu, Ganunga Gap, and 12. Are the three raw runes that came out. That flipped over and stayed flipped over. Excuse me. See, I feel like, and maybe it's because there's been so much talk of like the Nine of Cups being in the root, or our desire being our primary barometer or indicator or decision maker or lens that we process whatever through. Because like static needs is giving me like those things that we need to be alive. You know what I mean? Those very real needs that we have as human beings, unless, I don't know, you transcend the physio anatomical need for food and water and whatever else. It's like the void, and this isn't the abyss that the Two of Cups was. Abyssus, abyss, and moon woke up. This is the void. The void is more than capable of supplying, especially when the divine is the one orchestrating the inventory management, like a manifest. Isn't it a manifest? Or like a bill of landing? Like when the divine is the one in charge of like getting things from the void. And it's like gifts from the void to sustain whatever your needs are. But, and maybe it's like kind of bratty, right? Where it's like, again, sort of with that person that wants to make a lot of money, but they also want like impact, but primarily they want a lot of money. This is the territory, I feel like this is the territory of the Queen of Pentacles in the SKT Vitruvian edition specifically as my Divine Temptress card. Um, but it's like there are things that could come our way that we may not necessarily view as like successful, or we may not think it's the right path for us because of whatever, when in reality it might be. So wherever that Ventures of the Dauntless, Herald of the Winds ends up, blessed, fortunate, favorable winds, windfall, a turn in the wind, shift in the wind, leaf caught in an eddy, birth of a new language. I think that card may have come out in the video that y'all saw like 18 seconds of, because the rest of it didn't upload unless you were there and you saw it. It didn't upload the whole. It uploaded the dark part of the video, so right before I turned on the camera. Um, but yeah, it's a confirmation of like the divine's ability to provide and how tricky and or sticky it can get, especially navigating that whole Nine of Cups in the root situation. Imagine like Nine of Cups in the root on one side when the entire wheel of life is in the root on the other. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's fine. I hope that if you sat through that or any part of this, you found something of resonance. Thank you, Holly, for letting me know that my mic wasn't working, because all of this would have been done in silence. It could have been different information. It could have been the same information. I'll never know. And yeah, I hope y'all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality, even when alignment looks something different than we may have thought, and action seems frightening or scary. I hope that whatever you need along your path during the way you find. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was kind of one of like, I don't know. I'll leave it with you. And I will catch y'all whenever I catch y'all. I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty caught up on things that I want to like do or say or whatever. Right? Because at first, honestly, I was like, but I feel like I've kind of been seeing a lot. And again, like, I feel oblivious. So I'm just like, what? And yeah, so I don't know. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.